All right, let's get started with the new chapter, that is value of taxable supply. Okay, so this is very important chapter from your examination, and you can definitely expect question from this chapter. Each chapter in there will be definitely questions. So this chapter is just one section. Okay, this is section which section they're talking about? They're talking about section 15. And what do they say? Even before we understand section 15, we will go back and we will try to understand what is the definition of the word consideration. Very important for this chapter. So let us go back and try understand what do you mean by consideration. So in this particular page, they have given a chart. Let us not go back to the definition. Let us understand with the help of this chart itself. So the definition of consideration has two legs. So what is this leg? Leg basically means two parts. So which are these part? So this side what you see is part 1, and the other side what you see here, this is part 2. Let's quickly understand what is this part 1 and what is this part 2. So part 1 says consideration. It says payment in money or otherwise. So payment in money or otherwise. So what do you mean by the word otherwise? It means it is kind. So there is payment, but the payment either it is in monetary terms or it is in terms of kind. Okay, what we call it as a barter kind of transaction, in which you purchase some goods instead of paying money, but you pay another goods in return. So consideration, one part is it is either money or kind. Next, there is a second part, the second leg. It says it is monetary value of an act, or forbearance. Monetary value of an act or forbearance. Now let's take one simple example. Let us say I am Coca-Cola company. All right, I am Coca-Cola company, and I approach one of the bakery guy, and I will tell him, look, so there is this bakery guy. So what I'm telling him, as a Coca-Cola company, I'll tell, I will supply you freezer, I'll supply you refrigerator. Okay, this is the refrigerator. But the shopkeeper will say, I don't have money to pay you. I don't have money to pay you. I'll say, all right, I don't want money. I have enough money. I don't want your money, but one condition. So shopkeeper will ask, what is the condition? So I'll say, in this particular fridge, you should keep only Coca-Cola products, and not Pepsi products. So here, whether this guy is paying me money, answer is no. He is not paying me money. I am Coca-Cola. The bakery guy is not paying me money, but he is agreeing that he will not keep Pepsi products in his refrigerator. So here, is he paying me in money? Answer is no. Is he paying me in kind? Is he giving me any goods in return? Answer is no. So he's not covered under the part 1 of the definition of consideration, but definitely he is he comes, or he's covered under the part 2 of the definition of consideration, where it says it is the monetary value. It is the monetary value of any act or forbearance. So we need to ascertain what is the value of the act. So is he doing something or is he not doing something? He's not doing something. What is he not doing? He's not selling the product of Pepsi company. So I need to ascertain the value, and on that value will become the consideration. Well, for your examination, they will never test from this particular aspect. This is just for the understanding sake. So consideration can be in money or kind, or it could be doing something or not doing something. And this is important. By recipient. So who has to pay me the consideration? Recipient has to pay consideration, or sometimes any other person also can pay the consideration. Well, let us say that you want to recharge your mobile phone. Now, if you want to recharge your mobile phone, who has to pay money to the shopkeeper? Let us say you have Airtel. So you go to the Airtel showroom and you pay 100 rupees. So it is you as a recipient who is paying money. But let us say someday you are not going, but you're asking your dad to go and pay money to Airtel. Will Airtel guy say, no, 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 I don't want money from your dad. Only you should come and pay? Answer is no. So consideration can go from the recipient himself or herself, or it could go from a third party as well. Okay, so one simple example could be, let us say I am manufacturer of books. I am manufacturer of books, and normally per book I charge 50 rupees. I charge 50 rupees. So I manufactured 1000 books and I supplied it to school. So how much I'm charging the school? It is 50,000 rupees. Now this is consideration. If school is only paying me 50,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees is the consideration. It may so happen that I am approached by one of the non-profit organizations, some NGO approached me and they said, well, you give 1000 books to the school, but you give it at 10 rupees per book. I'll say, why would I do that? You are an NGO. I am not an NGO. I don't want to do what is that charity work. I don't have enough money. I do have my own employees. I can't give it at 10 rupees. So NGO says, see, you collect 10 rupees from the school, and remaining 40 rupees, we will give it to you. Remaining 40 rupees, we will give it to you. So who is giving me the 40 rupees per book? This is NGO who is giving to me. And 10 rupees who is giving? School is giving. So now comes the question, I am collecting 10,000 from the school and 40,000 from NGO. So what is the consideration I'm receiving? Is it just 10,000 rupees? Answer is no, because remember I said, consideration can flow from the recipient. Who is the recipient? That is a school, or from any other person. Who is other person? NGO. So what is the total consideration I received? Again, it is 50,000 rupees. So normally this is how it has to work. But there is one exception to this particular rule. What is the exception? They are saying, well, in the same example, let us say I am school and I'm asked to supply books at 10 rupees per book, 1000 books. So how much school will pay me? Only 10,000 rupees, and 40 rupees per book, that is 40,000 rupees, is given by government as subsidy. Is given by whom? Given by government as what? As subsidy. Then consideration, though I receive 50,000 rupees, in reality how much I'm receiving? In reality I'm receiving 50,000 rupees. But for the purpose of GST, what is my consideration value? Consideration is only this 10,000 rupees. Sir, where it is told? Look at this particular part. It says excluding subsidy given by central government or state government. Simple point. Okay. Next, one more thing about consideration we need to understand is about deposits. Now, deposits are usually not consideration. Deposits are not usually consideration. Once again. Okay. Now, when I say deposits are not consideration, what do I mean? Let's take an example, simple example to understand this. Say this is me, this is Mr. A, and I have a commercial building. I have a commercial building. There is an office here, and I'm giving it on rent to somebody else. I'm giving it to, let us say, Mr. B. I'm giving it to Mr. B. Now, when I'm giving to Mr. B, I'm giving it for rent. I'm not selling it. So rent, I will say per month. Per month rent is 50,000 rupees. So 50,000 rupees per month is the rent. But at the same time, whenever they're coming to occupy this office, I'm going to take something called as rent deposit. I'm going to take something called as rent deposit of, let us say, 5 lakh rupees. I'm going to take 5 lakh rupees as deposit. So now the question is this 5 lakh rupees which I collected as deposit is the consideration? The law says deposit is not consideration. Deposit is not consideration. But let us say this Mr. B does not pay me 6 months rent. He does not pay me 6 months rent. Don't know what is the reason, but he does not pay me 6 months rent. Now, what will I do? I will go on reducing from the deposits. And after 6 months, B will say, I want to leave this particular premise. I'll say, all right, no problem. But will I give him entire 5 lakh rupees back? No. I will minus 6 months rent. That is 6 into 50,000 rupees. That is 3 lakh rupees. Then I'll give him 2 lakh rupees back. Now here, what did I do? I adjusted the deposit towards the consideration. I adjusted 3 lakh rupees from the deposit. So out of this 5 lakh rupees, 3 lakh is consideration. Whatever I'm returning to the person is not consideration. All right. So where it is told here, look, deposit to be considered as payment only when the supplier applies such deposit as consideration for the said supply. So in the given case, what did I do? I applied the 3 lakh rupees towards the consideration, hence it becomes consideration. I apply deposit towards my consideration, hence it becomes consideration. If I give him 2 lakh rupees back, that is not part of my consideration. Simple thing, that's it. So now we can directly go to section 15. Now actually section 15 is a very vast section. There is so much to learn in this particular section, but at the CA inter level or at the very initial level of GST, you don't have to study everything. The very basic thing what you have to understand, only the half of it what you are supposed to understand. Let's directly jump into the section. Okay, so just read it before I start explaining. Just read what is there on your screen or write from your material. It's a very simple 5-line what you see on the screen, but so much of concepts which are involved. Let us try to decode it one by one. So here they are saying, read it. Section 15, subsection 1. What are they saying? They are saying the value of supply of goods or service or both. So here, this is the only one section for you to ascertain the value of both goods and services. In time of supply, we had one section for goods, one section for services. But for value, there is only one section, that is section 15. What are they saying? The value of supply of goods or service or both shall be. So shall be what? Shall be transaction value. Shall be transaction value, which is actually paid or payable. Now, what do you mean by the word paid or payable? You all are commerce students. You should be knowing what is paid or payable. So paid means it is a cash transaction. So what is the journal entry we are passing? We are passing cash account debited to sales account, which is actually paid or payable. So payable means what? It is a credit transaction. So what is journal entry you are passing? You are passing debtors account debited to sales account. In either cases, what is the value? It is the transaction value. Now, what is transaction value? Let's take an example. Let us say I have this calculator with me. All right. I have this calculator with me and I am a seller. I'm a retailer of this calculator and I am selling this calculator to my customer. Let us say normally the value of this particular calculator is 500 rupees. Okay. Normal market price of this calculator is how much? It is 500 rupees. But let us say that I sold this calculator for 10 rupees. Okay, there comes a customer and he says, give me one calculator. I give this calculator to the customer and I'll say, give me 10 rupees. Question is, should I pay GST on this 10 rupees or should I pay GST on its actual value, that is 500? So you need to reread this particular line. So will you understand clearly what the law says? Law says the value of goods, the calculator is goods or service. It is goods, correct? It meets the definition of goods. So value of supply of goods shall be transaction value. What is transaction value? The value what I'm charging for a particular transaction. What is the value that I am charging? I am charging 10 rupees. So I need to pay GST on 10 rupees. Sir, but the actual value is 500. Doesn't matter. What is that I am charging? It matters. So if I'm selling it for 10 rupees, I need to pay GST on 10 rupees. If I'm selling for 500, I need to pay GST on 500. If I'm selling it for 5,000, I need to pay GST on 5,000 rupees. So as long as I am the one who is deciding the transaction value, government cannot question me. They need to collect GST on the price what I'm charging to my customer. But there are certain rules. There are certain conditions. What are the conditions? Let us see. So the value of supply of goods or service or both shall be the transaction value, which is the price actually paid or payable for the said supply of goods or service or both, where. So what is the condition? Condition is where the supplier and the recipient of supply are not related. What is the first condition? Supplier and recipients are not related. Now, how do you say whether I'm related or not? Somewhere in the earlier classes, we have studied who are related parties. Who are related parties? So they are saying the supplier and the recipient should not be related parties. They should not be related parties. For example, let us say we are family members. Okay. So let us say that I have a son. Okay, I don't have, but let us say that I have a son, and my son comes to my shop and says, Dad, give me one calculator. So I will say, all right, take this calculator, give me 10 rupees, give me 10 rupees. So in this case, whether should I pay GST on 10 rupees? Answer is no. Then on what value I should pay GST? Well, that is not part of your syllabus. That is not part of your syllabus. But for me to pay GST on only 10 rupees, what are the conditions? Condition is supplier and the recipient should not be related parties, and price is the sole consideration for the supplier. And what is the one more condition? Price is the sole consideration for the supplier. So what does it mean? Let us say I am saying, look, one customer comes and customer says, what is the price for this particular calculator? I'll say, you give me 10 rupees. You give me 10 rupees. Also, I will say, for the next 1 week, you are supposed to bring me food every afternoon. You're supposed to bring me food every afternoon. So here, price is not the sole consideration. The 10 rupees is not the sole consideration. I am agreeing for 10 rupees. Why? Because I'm telling the other person that for the next 1 week, you're supposed to bring me food. So in that case, I don't have to pay GST on 10 rupees, but valuation is something different, which is not there in the inter syllabus. Okay. So all that you have to understand is, as long as the recipient is not a related person and the price is the only consideration, then whatever I'm charging to the customer, on that value, I need to pay GST. Next. Now let us talk about the value of supply shall include. So we are talking about inclusions. Okay, we are talking about inclusions. So what is this inclusion, what is this exclusion? You will be able to understand it better when we start doing sums. Don't worry, we will be doing enough sums so that you will get a clear idea. But let us go through this. So there are how many inclusions? There are 5 inclusions: A, B, C, D, E. So the first inclusion, they are saying the value of supply shall include any tax, duties, cess, fees, and charges levied under any law for the timing in force other than this act, the SGST, UGST, IGST, if charged separately by the supplier. Sir, what is this? Let's take one simple example to understand this. Say, okay, let me give an example. Say, the same Mr. A, I am Mr. A, and okay, this is how I look. So what I've done, I have given one of my office for rent. Okay, I have given one office to rent to whom? To Mr. B. So what is that Mr. B is supposed to pay me? I'll tell, look, you are supposed to pay me 50,000 rupees as rent. You are supposed to pay me how much? 50,000 rupees as rent. This is the first thing. Plus, you are supposed to pay me 3,000 rupees every month. Not for me, but I need to pay to municipality as municipality tax. All right. So what is this 3,000 rupees extra? It is municipality tax. Then plus you are supposed to pay me every month 2,000 rupees towards electricity charges. Towards what? Electricity charges. So how much I'm collecting from that particular Mr. B? I'm collecting every month 55,000 rupees. Now the question is, who is the supplier here? I am the supplier of service. Who is the recipient of service? Mr. B is the recipient of service, correct? Mr. B is the recipient of service. Question is, should I collect GST from my customer? Answer is yes, I will collect GST from my customer. But the question is on what value? Should I collect it only on 50,000 rupees? Should I collect it only on 50,000 rupees or 53,000 rupees or 55,000 rupees? So the question is, should I collect tax on municipality tax as well? Well, you need to look back to the definition. What it says? It says the value of supply shall include, the value of supply shall include what? Any tax, any tax. So if I'm collecting municipality tax separately, on that also I need to collect GST. On that also I need to collect GST. Instead of tax, if I'm collecting some duty or cess or fees, anything which I collect, which is actually charged by the government, which is actually charged by government or even by somebody else also, in every case, I need to collect GST on the same. All right. Okay. Now, let us talk about point number B. What does point number B says? Look at it. Okay. Before we go to point number B, there is one thing that you need to understand here. There is one exclusion. What is exclusion? Exclusion is you need to add all the other taxes except GST. You need to add all the other taxes except GST. For example, if I say I am collecting 50,000 towards rent, plus 3,000 towards municipality tax, plus 2,000 towards electricity fees, plus I am also collecting, let us say, I don't know, this one simple amount, let us say some 6,000 rupees as GST. I'm collecting 6,000 rupees as GST. So now comes the question, what is the value of my supply? What is the value of my supply? So it is 50,000 rupees plus 3,000 rupees plus 2,000 rupees, but this 6,000 should not be added. Why? Because this is GST. So value of supply shall not include GST, but it will include all the other taxes. Okay. When we do the sum, you will understand it better. Next, clause B. What does clause B says? It says any amount that the supplier is liable to pay in relation to such supply, but which has been incurred by the recipient of the supply and not included in the price actually paid or payable for the goods or service or both. Well, can we take one simple example to understand this? Yes, definitely. So let us say that again, I am Mr. A and I am selling some goods. I am selling some goods. And as per the agreement, I was supposed to deliver the goods. As per the agreement, it is written in the agreement. I was supposed to deliver the goods to Mr. B's house. Okay. So now what has happened? I have loaded the goods in one particular truck. Okay. This is how a truck looks like, or at least it's supposed to look like. Okay. All right. So let us say this is the truck, and on this truck I have loaded, let us say I'm selling some television to this particular truck, and this is delivered to Mr. B's house. So normally, who is supposed to pay to this particular truck driver? I am supposed to pay. Why? Because transportation was my responsibility as per the agreement. It was my responsibility. So I was supposed to pay. But what happened here? I told Mr. B, can you pay this truck driver? Can you pay this truck driver some 2,000 rupees, which is the transportation cost? And Mr. B says, all right, I'll pay it. So let us say, what is that I was supposed to charge to my customer? Let us say 40,000 towards the television, 40,000 towards the television, and 2,000 towards transportation. So what should have been my total value of supply? 42,000 rupees. But here what is actually happening? Customer only directly paying that truck driver. So I will not raise an invoice of this 2,000 rupees. I will not raise an invoice for this 2,000 rupees. I will simply say, now you are supposed to pay only 40,000 rupees. But GST says, no. That is not how it is done. Was that 2,000 rupees? Whether that 2,000 rupees was your liability as a supplier? Answer is yes. It is something which I was supposed to pay, but I made my customer pay it. In such situation, it will be added to the value of supply. So let us see what they're trying to say in the legal language. Look at it. Any amount that the supplier is liable to pay. Simple. Any amount that the supplier is liable to pay. Here, transportation cost. Who is liable to pay? Supplier is liable to pay. In relation to any supply, but which has been incurred by the recipient, which has been incurred by the recipient of the supply and not included in the price. So I am not collecting that extra 2000 rupees. I'm only collecting 40,000 rupees. But the law says I need to pay GST on not only 40,000 rupees, but on 42,000 rupees. Sir, can we take one more example for better clarity purpose? All right, we will take it. Let us say I am Mr. A again. Okay, now what am I today, or what am I now? I am an event manager. I am an event manager. And let us assume that it is your wedding. Okay, so you are getting married, whatever your name is. So Mr. or Miss, whatever. So write your name. So let us say it is X. Okay, so you are getting married and you have hired me as event manager. So what are my responsibilities? I need to take care of all the lighting, all the seating arrangements, all the music, all the catering, and so many things. Everything is taken by everything is taken care by me. Now let us say that. I would charge a sum total of 10 lakh rupees. I know very less, but let us say I'm going to charge you 10 lakh rupees for the entire service. This was there in my mind as a service provider. But what happens is the person who has provided the sound system to your wedding function suddenly comes and he says, pay me 1 lakh rupees. Okay, so that is some Mr. Yes, that is sound guy. He will come and ask me, pay 1 lakh rupees. I will say, no, I don't have money. I am, a wedding is yet to get over and I'm yet to bill the customer. I don't have money. But Mr. S says, no, you need to pay me immediately. So I will say, okay, in that case, go and ask Mr. X. So yes will come to you and he will ask you, pay 1 lakh rupees. So what will you do? You will pay 1 lakh rupees to this sound guy. Now, why are you paying to him? Because if you don't pay to him, there won't be any sound in the wedding. So you will pay that money to him. But who was supposed to pay? I was supposed to pay because I am the event manager. But you paid because you had money. Now, when I am billing it to you, I will not bill this 10 lakh rupees because you already paid that 9 lakh rupees. Oh, sorry, 1 lakh rupees to that sound guy. So I'm going to bill you only 9 lakh rupees. I'm only going to bill you 9 lakh rupees. So in the bill, I'm going to charge only 9 lakh rupees. But the question is, on what value should I pay GST? Is it 9 lakh rupees? Answer is no. Because 9 lakh rupees is what you are going to pay me. Definitely yes. But it will also include one more thing. What is that? Any amount which the supplier is liable to pay, but which is actually paid by the recipient. So even that has to be added. So 1 lakh has to be added. And on 10 lakh rupees, I have to pay GST. Okay. So that is what part B says. So A talks about tax, and clause B talks about anything which supplier is liable to pay, but which is paid by the recipient. Next, third one, they're talking about incidental expenses. Incidental expenses, including commission and packing charged by the supplier to the recipient of a supply. And any amount charged for anything done by the supplier in respect of the supply of goods or service or both at the time of or before the delivery of goods or supply of services. Now, what is this incidental expenses? Say, okay, let us say that you go to one bakery and it is your friend's birthday, and you will say, give me one cake. Okay, so cake, let us say, I'll not draw cake. Let us say that this is how cake looks like. Okay, this is how cake looks like. And now, okay, so whatever they'll write, happy birthday and whatever that name is. So this is what your cake is, and you will say the shopkeeper, see, I need to take this cake to a place which is 20 kilometers far from here. So I want packing. So he'll say, yeah, we will pack it in one cardboard. So you'll say, yeah, cardboard is a normal packing. I want you to put 2-3 more extra cardboards, or make it such a way that even if I take it for 20 kilometers, cake remains as it is, and this happy birthday, what is written on the cake, is still visible after I take it there. So he will say, all right, but extra charge lagega. So you have to pay me some extra amount of money. I'll say, all right, not a problem. I'll pay you 20 rupees extra, 30 rupees extra. So now for cake, he would charge 500 rupees plus for extra packing, he's charging 30 rupees. So now GST is on not on this 500 rupees, but on entire 530 rupees. So even this 30 rupees should be included. So very simple point. So if the seller is charging some extra amount of money as a incidental expenditure or ancillary expenditure, and if I'm recovering it from you, I need to charge GST even on that particular price. A simple example could be, let us say I am selling car. Okay, I am selling car to the customer, and while selling the car to the customer may ask, before I take the car, I want you to wash the car because I can see some dust. I'll say, all right, but I'll not do it for free. For car, I'm charging, let us say 10 lakh rupees. For car, I'm charging 10 lakh rupees plus for washing. For washing, I'm charging, let us say 1000 rupees. So GST is not on 10 lakh. GST is on entire 10 lakh, 1000 rupees. Okay. So this is what is meant by that particular clause. That is incidental expenses, including commission and packing charged by the supplier to the recipient. Next, so this is interesting. That is D. That is interest or late fee or penalty for delayed payment of any consideration. For delayed payment. For delayed payment of any consideration for any supplier. So what are they talking here? In simple words, let's say this is how my invoice looks like. All right. So let us say I'm a chartered accountant and I am doing some service to my client. Let us say I did audit service. So here I'll write invoice number 101. Okay. This is the invoice number, and date. What is the date? That is 8th of May 2020. That is today's date. And I am writing what is the customer name here. I'm writing the customer name, and I'm writing my address here. Then I'm writing what is the description of service. I'll say auditing. And what is the value? I'll say value is how much should I charge? Let us say I charge 1 lakh rupees per audit. Okay. So then I will say GST. GST, let us say on this 1 lakh rupees, 18%, that is 18,000 rupees, 9,000 CGST, 9,000 SGST. And so total, how much customer is supposed to pay me? 1,18,000 rupees. But here I will say, you need to make payment within 7 days. You need to make payment within 7 days. If you don't do within 7 days, then for every day of delay, I am going to charge, let us say, how much should I be charging? 100 rupees. I'm going to charge 100 rupees for my customer. So if he is going to give me a 10th day, that is for extra 3 days, I'm going to charge how much? I'm going to charge 300 rupees. If he's going to give me after, let us say 1 month, if he's going to give me after 1 month, that is after 30 days. So for that extra 23 days, I'm going to charge 23 into 100, that is 2,300 rupees extra. So now the question is, should I pay GST only on this 1 lakh rupees, that is this 18,000, or should I pay GST on this 2,300 as well? Answer is, I need to pay GST on this 2,300 as well. But remember, interest, late fee, penalty, everything, I need to pay GST only on the receipt basis, only on the receipt basis, not an accrual basis. Because most of the times what happens, this is just to scare my customer and make them realize that they need to pay early. I'll put this line. Most of the times I will not collect this 2,300 from my customers. So the law says only if you collect, pay GST on that. If you don't collect, don't pay GST on that. So interest, this particular clause is there, no? Interest, late fee or penalty. On this GST, I have to pay only if I collect that amount from my customer. If I don't collect it, I don't have to pay GST on that. But for all the other cases, whether I collect it or not, I need to pay GST because here they say no, actually paid or payable, both are there. Cash or credit, I need to pay GST. But for interest, it is only on receipt basis. So then comes the question, how do I calculate interest? How do I calculate GST on interest portion? Let us say my customer actually pays me this 2,300 rupees. My customer actually pays this 2,300 rupees. He'll pay me this 1,18,000 as well as this 2,300. How do I calculate GST? So normally whenever we say GST, I have to calculate. So I'll do 2,300 into 18%. 2,300 into 18%. How much it will come? Wait, I'll tell you. 18%, that is 414 rupees. But this is wrong. This is not how am I supposed to calculate GST on interest portion, because he is not going to give me this 414 extra. So I have to apply formula like this: 2,300 into 18 divided by 118. So this will give me the GST amount by 118. So what is the GST amount? That is 351. So what is the value of supply here? 2,300 minus 351, that becomes 1,949. So 1,949 is the value, plus what is the GST on that? 351. So total is how much? 2,300. So this is how we are supposed to calculate it. So because looks kind of complicated. Yeah, it looks sometimes complicated when we do it for the first time, but you do 2-3 more sums, it is super simple. Okay, next. So interest, late fee, penalty only on the receipt basis. The last portion, that is E, this we already have studied. What is it? That is subsidies. It will include subsidies. If it is given by NGOs, if it is given by some charitable organization, if it is given by some very big kind-hearted person, but it will not include subsidies. It will exclude subsidies if it is given by central government or state government. We have already studied this, because even that is not included in the definition of consideration. So section 15, what it says? It says value for the goods and services shall be determined as per section 15, and it is nothing but transaction value, which is actually paid or payable by the customer. But there is a condition. What is the condition? That we both are not related parties and price is the sole consideration for the supply. Next, they're talking about 15 subsection 2 talks about 5 inclusions. Which are the 5 inclusions? All the taxes are included in the value of supply except GST. Next one is if supplier is liable to pay something, but if it is paid by the recipient, like rickshaw charges or the same example what we took about event management thing. So whether supplier is liable to pay, paid by the recipient, even this is included. Next, incidental expenses, that is packing expenses of a cake, all those things are included in the value of supply. Fourth one is interest or late fee or penalty for delayed payment. Remember, here also it is D, here also it is delayed payment. D for delayed payment. Next, E stands for subsidiaries excluding government subsidies. Sorry, subsidies excluding government subsidies, not subsidiaries. Okay. For the purpose of this subsection, the amount of subsidy shall be included in the value of supply of the supplier who receives the subsidy. That if I am receiving the subsidy, it will be included in my value of supply. Okay. So this is what section 15 subsection 2 is. Now there is only one more section what we are supposed to study. That is 15 subsection 3, the important one, the most important one. Now here they are talking about discount. Now, let us first look at a couple of examples first, and then I'll take you through the provisions. This is very important. Let us say discount. Okay, very important from your examination point. Discount can be given at various stages. One is before the supply or at the time of supply. Before or at the time of supply, and discount can be given after the supply. Let's take example. So this I'm referring to as case 1, and this I'm referring as case 2. First, let us talk about case 1. Say, let us go back to the again selling of calculator example. So what is happening here? Let us say that I will say, look, the calculator will cost 500 rupees. The calculator, the value is 500 rupees, but I am running some offer in which I am giving you 200 off. And you have to pay me only 300 rupees. So what am I doing? I'm giving you discount. So am I falling under category 1 or am I falling under category 2? It is very simple. It is category 1. Why? Because the discount is given at the time of supply. When I'm supplying it to you, that time only I'm telling you that 200 rupees is off. Now, so while I'm printing the invoice, while I'm giving the invoice also, how will my invoice look like? Invoice will look like this. It will look like this. This is how you might have seen the value, or the, I'll write calculator. It is some 500 rupees minus discount. I will write how much? 200 rupees. Balance how much you're supposed to pay? 300. On 300 rupees, I'll calculate GST. On 300, I will calculate GST. So here, what am I saying? The discount is mentioned on the face of the invoice. So remember the word terminology what I use. So what the terminology I'm using? Discount is mentioned on the face of the invoice. When you look at the invoice, on the face of the invoice, the discount is mentioned. Okay. So in this case, I need to pay GST only on 300 rupees. I don't have to pay on 500. I have to pay only on 300 rupees. But let us talk about one more scenario in which invoice I'm giving you 500 rupees only. Invoice I'm giving of 500 rupees only. Then while taking money from you, I'll say, okay, all right, 300 is enough. Only 300 is enough. In this situation, the law says, no, this is not how it will work. You have to pay GST on 500 rupees. You have to pay GST on 500 rupees. You want to pay GST on lesser amount, then mention it on the face of the invoice. In invoice only you write it as discount. If you don't write it on the face of the invoice, then we are not going to give you any excuse, or we are not going to give you any relaxation. You need to pay GST on 500 rupees only. So here what are they saying? Discount can be given before or at the time of supply, when I'm actually selling it to you. This is the first situation. So what is the condition? What is the condition? Condition is discount should be mentioned on the face of the invoice. On the face of the invoice. This is the one condition what they have. Simple. Now, which is more trickier? That is discount which is given afterwards. Sir, can you give an example of a situation where discount is given after the supply? Discount is given after the supply. Let me give an example. Say, I am a wholesaler. I am a wholesaler of calculators. I'm a wholesaler of calculators. And I will tell my retailers, that if you sell 1000 calculator, then instead of paying 500 per calculator, you pay me only 450 per calculator. So there is a condition. So what is the condition? That my retailers should sell how many calculator in a year? They are supposed to sell 1000 calculator in a year. And if they can sell 1000 calculator in a year, then I am giving them the discount of how much? Instead of paying me 500 rupees, you pay me only 450 rupees. I'm giving 50 rupees per calculator as discount. So this, when I'm giving them 1000 calculator, I don't know. When I'm giving them the calculator, I don't know whether they will be able to sell 1000 calculator or not. So understand it very clearly how it goes. So point number one, there is an agreement. There is an agreement between whom? There is agreement between me and the recipient. What is the agreement says? That they are supposed to sell 1000 calculator this year. So that is there mentioned on the face of agreement. Okay, this is the one condition. So there has to be an agreement. If there is no agreement, then the discount is not reduced from the value of supply. On the full amount only I need to pay GST. Second, this is kind of tricky point. Second point what they are saying is, recipient should not take input tax credit on the discount portion. The recipient should not take input tax credit on the discounted portion. Sir, what is this point? We did not understand. More about it you will understand while we are talking input tax credit chapter. But if I say that, you will learn in input tax credit chapter, I have to leave it half here. I don't want to do that. So I'll try giving an example, try understanding it, and it is a simple thing. You will understand it. I'm pretty confident about it. Okay. What is this example? I'll tell you. Say, let us imagine a GST rate at 10 percentage. There is actually no rate of 10 percentage, but let us imagine GST is 10 percentage. Okay. Now, I am Mr. A and I am giving calculator. I am giving calculator to my customers. Let us say Mr. B. So first thing is there is an agreement between me and my customer that he is supposed to sell 1000 calculator if he wants to qualify for discount. So what did I do? I sold him 1000 calculator. All right. I sold him 1000 calculator. Initially when I sold it for 500 rupees. I sold it for 500 rupees per calculator. So what is the total value? 1000 into 500. It is 5 lakh rupees. It is 5 lakh rupees. Also I collected GST of how much? 50,000 rupees. So total how much I actually collected from my customer? 5 lakh 50,000 rupees. So it could be cash sale or it could be credit sale. We already studied. It could be for cash or it could be for credit. So I said you are supposed to pay me 5 lakh 50,000 rupees. So Mr. B said all right, he will pay me that amount of money. Now Mr. B is selling this calculator to his customers. To his customers. Let us say he is selling this 1000 calculator for 600 rupees per calculator. 600 rupees per calculator. So how much is he collecting? He is collecting 6 lakh rupees plus GST of how much? 60,000 rupees. So total how much is he collecting? He is collecting 6 lakh 60,000 rupees. Okay. Till now, easy. Okay. Let us continue a bit. So here, now Mr. B, let us talk from Mr. B's point of view. Whether Mr. B is supposed to pay GST to the government? Answer is yes, because he has collected this much, he has to pay the tax to the government. Question is, how much should he pay? Sorry, collected 60,000 rupees, you need to pay 60,000 rupees to the government. Agreed. But remember, he paid 50,000 rupees to me. He paid 50,000 rupees to me. So this 50,000 rupees, he will claim as what? He will claim as input tax credit. He will minus this 50,000 rupees and he will pay only how much? Balance 10,000 rupees to government. This is situation number one. This is situation number one. So remember this. If Mr. B does this, and tomorrow, if I say, don't pay me this 5 lakh rupees, because you sold 1000 calculator, pay only 4 lakh 50,000 rupees. If I say pay only 1000 into 450, that is 4 lakh 50,000 rupees. Question is, should I collect GST on this 4 lakh 50,000 only, or should I collect GST on this 5 lakh only? The law says there are two conditions. If I want to pay GST on the reduced value, that is 4 lakh 50,000 rupees. What is the first condition? First condition is there has to be agreement between the supplier and the recipient. That is there. Second condition is the most important one. Second condition says my recipient, that is Mr. B, should not take credit on the discounted portion. That means how much credit he has availed? 50,000 rupees. How much credit he has availed? 50,000 rupees. The law says if he has availed credit on 50,000 rupees completely, I will not get the benefit of paying tax at 4 lakh 50,000 rupees. But they are saying, what is the discounted value? Discount value is how much? 50,000 rupees. That is 5 lakh minus 4 lakh 50,000. On this 50,000 rupees, what is the ITC? That is 5,000 rupees. So 50,000 is the discount. On the discount, what is the input tax credit value? That is 5,000 rupees. So this 5,000 rupees should not be availed by the customer. So Mr. B, when he collected 60,000 rupees from the customer, his customer, that is, let us say Mr. C, his customer, he should not minus 50,000 rupees. He should minus only 45,000 rupees and pay 15,000 rupees in cash. And should pay how much? 15,000 rupees in cash. If that happens, then I have to pay tax only on 4,50,000 rupees. If not, then I have to pay tax on this 5 lakh rupees. So is it this complicated? I will tell you it is not complicated. Once you start understanding input tax credit chapter, this will look very simple to you. Okay. So once we complete input tax credit chapter, I'll bring you back to the same question and you will understand how easy it was. So that's it. So next, what are they talking about? Okay, just quickly read. What are they saying? Okay. So here they're talking about section 15 subsection 3. They're saying the value of supply shall not include any discount. The value of supply shall not include any discount which is given. I told there are two cases. One is before or at the time of supply. If such discount has been duly recorded in the invoice, on the face of the invoice, then I can reduce the value and pay GST on the reduced value. Next, second situations two, that is after the supply. What is the condition they are talking about? They are talking about two conditions. One is what? Such discount is established in terms of an agreement. So there has to be an agreement which should be entered on the day of sale or on or before the date of sale. There has to be an agreement between supplier and the recipient. And the next one is ITC attributable to the discount, that is at 5,000 rupees. What is the discount? That is 50,000 rupees. And ITC attributable to the discount is 5,000 rupees on the base of discount issued by the supplier has been reversed by the recipient. What is this reversal? All those things we will study when we are discussing about input tax credit chapter. Okay, next. Fourth point, where the value of supply of goods or service or both cannot be determined under subsection 1, the same shall be determined in such manner as may be prescribed. So they are talking about what if we are related parties. What if we are related parties? How are you going to arrive the value? So they are saying there is some other manner in which you can arrive at the value, but that is not there in your syllabus. You're lucky. Next, notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1 or subsection 4, the value, again, some government has power to specify the value for some purposes. Again, not very relevant from your examination point of view. So this is the Bare Act, what you have studied. And here they're talking about who are related parties. We have studied long back. I'm not going to explain it. Just glance through it. Who are related parties? That's it. So we can do all the sums. And now if we start doing sums, you should be able to understand it in a better way. So I'll just take you through sums. 1 second. Okay. Can you see the sums? If you can see the sums, raise your hand. Okay, I see that you actually can see the sum. Okay, great. So this is how your examination questions are going to be, and you're supposed to answer. Value of supply. Read the sum. Black and White Private Limited has provided the following particulars relating to goods sold by its to Colorful Private Limited. The list price of the goods is 50,000 rupees. This is exclusive of taxes and discounts. Tax levied by municipal authority is 5,000 rupees. Packing charges, which is not included in the price above, is 1,000 rupees. Black and White Limited received 2,000 rupees as subsidy from an NGO on sale of such goods. The price of 50,000 of the goods is after considering such subsidy. Black and White Limited offers 2% discount on the list price of the goods which is recorded in the invoice for the goods. Determine the value of taxable supplies made by Black and White Limited. Now you are supposed to calculate the value of supply. Very simple question. So here, what is the list price of the goods? That is 50,000 rupees. Now you need to tell me tax levied by municipal authority. Think. Tax levied by municipal authority. Should I pay GST on this 5,000 rupees as well? Answer is yes. Why yes? Because tax is added to the value of supply. Which section talks about it? It is section 15, subsection 2, clause A. This is how you're supposed to write answer in your examination. 15(2)(a) talks about taxes. Next, packing charges. Packing charges. Should it be included? Answer again is yes. Packing charges is also included in the value of supply. Next, they received 2,000 rupees as subsidy. 2,000 rupees as subsidy. So should that 2,000 rupees be added to the value of supply? Answer again is yes. Because who is giving that subsidy? Is it government? No, it is given by some NGO. So even that 2,000 rupees should be added to the value of supply. So what next? They're talking about discount. They're saying there is 2% discount on the list price. What is the list price? List price is what? This is 50,000 rupees. This is 50,000 rupees. So on 50,000 rupees, I need to deduct 2%. That is 1,000. So in examination, how am I supposed to write the answer? Answer is also here. Computation of value of taxable supply. Okay. So list price of the goods, how much? 50,000 rupees. Tax levied by municipal authority, and preferably remember these sections. That is section 15, subsection 2, clause A. How much? 5,000 rupees. So what will happen if I remember the clause? You will get more marks. Next, packing charges. That is section 15, subsection 2, clause C. That is 1,000 rupees. Next, subsidy given by somebody else, not government. That is section 15, subsection 2, clause E added. So all the things I add, it becomes 58,000 rupees. Then minus what? Minus discount of 2% on 50,000 rupees. That is 1,000 rupees. So what is the value of my taxable supply? 57,000 rupees. On this value, I need to pay GST. Simple aspect. We will do a couple of more sums. We will understand it. Say, read the question. Read the question. Okay. So what are they saying? Samruddhi advertisers conceptualized and designed the advertisement campaign for a new product launched by New Moon Private Limited for a consideration of 5 lakh rupees. So what is the consideration which is agreed by two parties? That is 5 lakh rupees. Then Samruddhi advertisers owed 20,000 to one of its vendors in relation to some advertising services provided it to New Moon Private Limited. Such liability of Samruddhi advertisers were discharged by New Moon Private Limited. Okay. So this is one simple line. So there is one particular, this is one particular point. What is the consideration which is agreed? That is 5 lakh rupees. Next, one more thing is, I am the supplier. I am Samruddhi advertisers. I had to pay some 20,000 rupees. I had to pay some 20,000 rupees to one person. Instead of me paying, I have asked my recipient to pay. So my recipient directly have paid that 20,000 rupees. Whether that 20,000 rupees should be added to my value of supply? Answer is yes. We studied this. So even this 20,000 rupees will become part of my supply. Next, third part here is, New Moon Private Limited delayed the payment. Delayed payment is D for 15(2)(d). Delayed payment of consideration, and thus 15,000 as interest. They paid how much? 15,000 rupees as interest. Even this interest has to be added to the value of supply. But remember, it won't be directly 15,000. It will be that, 15,000. I need to remove the GST portion. I'll show you how the calculation has to be done. So this is it. So let us look how the answer will look like. Computation of value of taxable supply. What is the service charge? That is 5 lakh rupees. Next is the payment made on behalf, okay, on behalf of supplier. So remember 15(2)(b). B stands for behalf of supplier recipient is paying. Okay. Next, this 15,000 rupees, whatever is there, this 15,000 rupees includes GST portion as well. So I have to exclude GST portion. So what is the formula I'm putting? 15,000 into 100 divided by 118. I'm going to get 12,712, and the value of taxable supply is going to be 5,32,712 rupees. Don't worry, I'll share the question sheet with you so that you can do after this particular class. Next, read this question. Tell me the answer. AKG Foods Private Limited gets an order for supply of processed food from the customer. The customer wants the consignment tested for gluten or specified chemical residues. AKG Foods Private Limited does the testing and charges the testing fees for the same for the customer. AKG Foods Private Limited argues that such testing fees should not be forming part of. Okay, here some fee spelling is wrong. It is FEES. Fee should not form part of the consideration for the sale as it is a separate activity. I'll simply tell you what it is. Question is, let us say I am supplying food to my customer, some food products, but my customer wants some test to be done on that particular food article. So he will say, for the food he will pay separately, and he will also ask me to do some test on this particular food items, and for that particular testing also I'll charge extra amount from my customer. So let us say for the food I'm charging 1 lakh from my customer, plus for the testing whether the food contains some chemical ingredients or not, customer wants to be sure of that. So customer will ask me, get tested, I will get the testing done, and I will charge extra 5,000 rupees. So 1 lakh rupees for the food plus 5,000 rupees for testing. So on what amount should I pay GST? On 1 lakh rupees or 1 lakh 5,000 rupees? You know that on 1 lakh 5,000 rupees also I need to pay GST, because this is an incidental expenditure. Remember that cake example of packing and other incidental expenses? This is the case. 15.2C. You can read it later on. Next, this is very interesting. A philanthropic. So what do you mean by the word philanthropic? Philanthropic means a person with a very huge heart, one who is into all these donations, and Ajim Premji or the Tata and whatever you see, the people who are very interested in donating things what they have. So there is a philanthropic association makes a substantial donation each year to a reputed private management institution to subsidize the education of lower income group who have gained admission there. The fees for these students or fees for these individuals is reduced thereby, coming to 3 lakh rupees a year compared to 5 lakh rupees for other students. Simple thing. Normally, let us say I am a coaching institute, I am charging 5 lakh from my students. But because somebody is giving me a subsidy, because somebody is saying don't collect 5 lakh from them, collect only 3 lakh from them, and we will give that 2 lakh rupees we will give that 2 lakh rupees. So the question is, what is the value of my supply? Is it 3 lakh rupees? Answer is no, because 3 lakh I'm getting from the students, 2 lakh I'm getting from this philanthropic association. So the value of my supply is going to be 5 lakh rupees. Simple. That is what the answer is. You can read the answer. The answer is the same thing. It is directly linked to my supply, and the subsidy is not given by the government. In this same case, if government had given this, then the value of my supply was only 3 lakh rupees. All right, next. Here, read the next question, question number 24. So the question says, I'm an advertising firm. I've told my customer pay within 30 days. If you don't make payment within 30 days, then for extra 2 days, I'm going to charge interest. So my customer failed to make payment within 30 days, and he makes the payment after 2 more days. But when he is making the payment at the 32nd day, I will say, all right, I don't want to collect interest from you. I don't want to collect the extra interest from you for those 2 dates. But department is saying, but the government is saying that whether you collect it or not, you have to pay GST on this interest as well. Whether the argument of the department is correct? Answer is no, it is not correct. Why not it is correct? Because Because interest should be added to the value of supply only if it is collected. Only if it is collected. If it is not collected, I don't have to pay GST on this. So there are two sections I can refer to. One is section 15, subsection 2, clause D. Plus there is one section called as section 13, subsection 6. I don't know whether you remember it or not. That is value of, time of supply. For the interest, the time of supply will be when I actually receive the interest. So in this case, if I don't receive the interest only, then there is no time of supply. If there is no time, then there is no GST that I have to pay. Again, not very relevant, don't worry. So in simple point, what is that you are supposed to remember? If I collect interest, then on interest there is GST. If I don't collect interest, there is no GST if I don't collect it. Next. Question number 25. Crunch Bakery Limited sells biscuits and cakes to its dealers, to whom it charges the list price minus standard discount and pays GST accordingly. When goods remain unsold with the dealers, it offers additional discount on the stock as an incentive to push the sale. Can this additional discount be reduced from the price at which the goods were sold and reduce, or can tax adjustment be made? That is the question. So I am selling cake to my dealers, and I'm selling biscuits to my dealers, and I'm giving them standard discount. Let us say 5%, 10% I'm giving. At the same time, if they cannot sell the cake, and remember, if they can't sell the cake within 1 or 2 days, the cake we want to be in a saleable condition. So in order to boost them to further sell that particular product, then returning back to me, what will I say? I'll give you, let's say, some 20% extra discount. Can that discount be reduced from the value of my supply? Can it be? Is it discount given at the time of supply? No, it is given after the time of supply. If after, then there are two conditions. What is the two condition? There has to be an agreement, and then the other person should reverse the ITC. Forget about reversing ITC. That is very advanced level of discussion. First thing is there agreement between us? Look at it. The discounts were not known or agreed. So there is no agreement between me and my customers. So it cannot be reduced. Simple. Let's look at question number 26. Okay. From the following information, determine the value of taxable supply as per provisions of section 15 of CGST Act 2017. What are they saying? They are saying Mr. X supplies following information. What is the information? Value of machine including GST at 12%. So this 30 lakhs already includes the GST of 12%. Next, the invoice value includes the following. So there is tax of 30,000 rupees. It is already included. I don't have to add it again. Now the question is, should I remove it? Answer is no, because tax is included. Because this is taxes other than GST, it has to be included in the value of supply. Payment and loading charges, it has to be included in the value of supply because it is incidental expenses. Consultancy charges, incidental expense. Testing charges, incidental expense. Inspection charges, incidental charges. Everything has to be added. So nothing to be removed. Whatever has happened, it is right till now. Next. Subsidy received from central government for setting up factory in backward region, 1,02,000 rupees. Should I add this? Should I add this 1,02,000? Answer is no, because this is a subsidy which is received from the central government. So normally subsidies which section? Section 15, subsection 2 clause, last clause, that is E. But it is an exception. I don't have to add it. Next, subsidy received from third party for timely supply of machine, that is 1 lakh rupees. Now this has to be added because this is subsidy which is received from somebody else. So I need to add this. Next, trade discount actually allowed, shown separately in invoice. Oh, they're talking about discount. So we are not talking about inclusions. We are talking about exclusion. So should this be excluded? Answer is yes, because it is discount which is shown separately in the invoice. So now how the answer should be? What is the value? 30 lakh rupees. What is the value? 30 lakh rupees less. Should I deduct tax? I should not deduct tax. Should I deduct weighing charges? No. Consultancy charges? No. Testing charges? No. Inspection charges? No. Trade discount actually shown separately? Yes, I need to reduce that. Then I need to add what? I need to add subsidy which is received from the third party. I need to add this 1 lakh rupees. So total it will become what? 30 lakh 50,000 rupees. 30 lakh 50,000 rupees. So 30 lakh 50,000 rupees is including GST. It is including GST. So how do I remove the GST portion? By using this particular formula. 30 lakh 50,000 into 12 by 112. Then I'll get the value of taxable supply. Okay. So I'll give so this is the discussion. There are few more sums. There are, okay, 2-3 more sums. We will discuss those sums as well. Okay. Determine the value of taxable supply as per section 15 of CGST Act and rules thereof. What are they asking? They are saying Mr. X supplies following information. Contracted sale price of the goods, including GST at 5%. How much? Total price 6 lakh rupees is what customer has to pay me. The contracted sale price includes the following, which and all: cost of drawing and designs. Should it be included? Answer is yes, it should be included. Cost of primary packing should be included. Answer is yes. Cost of packing at buyer's request, should that be included? Yes. Freight and insurance from place of removal to buyer's premise. Answer again is yes. Okay. If I am paying for insurance and I have to add it, Next. A discount of 50,000 rupees was given by supplier at the time of supply. So this 50,000 rupees, what should I do? I need to remove it. If it is there, I need to remove it. So contracted price was how much? 6 lakh rupees. Discount I am minus saying. So what it becomes? It becomes 5 lakh 50,000 rupees. So on 5 lakh 50,000 rupees, what is the GST? I need to put this formula to get the GST value. Okay, simple point. Next. Black and White Private Limited has provided the following particulars relating to goods sold by it to Colorful. So, okay. So what is the list price of the goods? That is 50,000 rupees. What is the tax levied by municipal authorities? 5,000 rupees. So this will be added, even this will be added. CGST, SGST, no, this won't be added. This won't be added because this is tax which is GST, not to be added. Packing charges, 1,000 rupees, that has to be added. Next, Black and White Limited received 2,000 rupees as subsidy from NGO. This has to be added. So I need to add how much extra here? 2,000 rupees as subsidy. The price of 50,000 of the goods is after considering such subsidy. So I am going to add it. Black and White offers 2% discount on the list price. So what should I do on this 50,000 rupees? I need to minus 1,000 rupees as discount. That is 2%. So what is the value of my supply? What is the value of supply? 50,000 plus 5,000 plus 1,000 plus 2,000 minus 1,000 rupees. So this is what they're talking about. 50,000 plus 5,000 plus 1,000 plus 2,000 minus 1,000. I'll get 57,000 rupees. Okay, next.